everybody. I'm Hayden Wilde. I'm 23 years old and I represent New Zealand for triathlon. Yeah, so kind of started off, I went to Hope Beach School, a little place in Ohope. Yeah, I honestly didn't do much at all. Didn't know actually what triathlon was. I just played football. I was kind of like a sheep to my brothers. So we just played the average Joe sports like cricket, football, rugby, anything that was that was going off at their lunchtime sports would just join in and do it. So yeah, most of my kind of life I've just been playing football and hockey, and it kind of all happened in 2012. So that was when I was in primary still. So it was like my second to last year of primary. Pretty obviously tough on my mum, being a single mum for a good 3-4 years. So for me it was you kind of knew but you kind of didn't know, and it kind of definitely affected you throughout the years, and you didn't really have that figure to look up to. You kind of had your brother figures and all that, but it's nothing like your dad to look up to. I think that's what made me quite strong, and when I went overseas, just like wants me to kind of fight for something. Kind of want to make my family proud, and having I always know he's there looking down, so it's great kind of having all that huge support in the back at home in the family, and yeah, we kind of all just come together, and I think that's what made us quite strong, and I think that's what makes me such an aggressive athlete on the stage. Just kind of don't hold anything back because you never know what could happen. So I guess I've been through that kind of firsthand. I've actually got a tattoo on my back for him. He's a pilot, so it's a pilot compass, and then he used to do a lot of fishing, so it's kind of what the ropes are, and for feathers are for flying, and there's like north, south, east, west, so wherever I go, here we go, and then just the initials and the date that he passed away and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, moved from home. Yeah, I love Whakatane. It wasn't where I was born, but it was where I was pretty much bred my whole life. But unfortunately, they just don't have the facilities like Tauranga has. I moved here pretty much for a job. My first coach was on fitness, and a guy called Dave Jaggs, who was a personal trainer. So he actually coached me for multi-sport, but kind of sat me down and gave me the word saying, you need to move on. You need someone that has better expertise than me, which I thought was pretty awesome. That he said, I don't want to, not expand your knowledge of training and go to somewhere else.
So I met Hayden when he was 16, and he actually came along to one of our running events that we organised, and rocked up, little 16-year-old, a little bit chubby almost at the time, but he just absolutely crushed the race. He won, and in the process of winning, he beat a guy, Chris Morrissey, who is kind of renowned within New Zealand as being pretty much running royalty. So everyone's kind of like, who is this kid? And I'm pretty sure literally he finished the race, jumped straight back in the car, fell asleep, and yeah, just this kid just comes up from nowhere, just this natural talent. And that's, I guess, the first time I kind of really heard about him. And then our relationship kind of grew over that to the point that facilitated him moving from Whakatane up to Tauranga so he could take his training a bit further. So one of that was working with me from a coaching point of view, working with the physios, but also just helping him kind of integrate into the Tauranga community, so finding work and all sorts of different bits and pieces. We did quite a bit of coaching and training together, but it got to the point where he was just too quick, and I just didn't really have the capabilities to push him. I remember we went to the track one day. What we used to do is I'd run in lane 1, so the smallest, shortest lane, and he'd run in lane 8, and we'd do the same set to see if we could kind of keep up, and he was just lapping me. So there was this skinny little, by this point, skinny little 18-year-old just running laps around me at the track, and I'm in lane 1 just getting absolutely pounded. I was like, you know what, he needs to move on. So that's when I kind of put him and Craig together, and it was just like, beyond my capacity, over to you. But we've still been involved from a physio point of view, which has been really cool, and helping him with strength and conditioning and stuff. So I've known Craig for ages. I did Ironman back in, what would it be, 2015, I think. And I did some training with Craig then. We went out on long rides together, so kind of always known that Craig's been around. And yeah, it just seemed like the right thing. Like all the coaches in Tauranga would know each other. And I just thought Craig had the capabilities to push him along with his running. So that's probably one of Haydo's biggest strengths. And Craig ran Commonwealths, ran for New Zealand, so he's kind of the guy who could really put him through his paces. So it kind of seemed like a logical choice.
It worked out really well, so normally having 2 coaches doesn't really work because it really clashes. But having Liz, Greg and Craig and now Matt, that is now the top swim coach at the pool, just having them all work together has been pretty awesome. And I think being with them for the last 4 or 5 years and just had like consistent training has kind of got me where I am today.
So it began in 2016 when he stole some prize money from me at a half marathon in Hawke's Bay, and I'd showed up to this race thinking I was going to swoop the prize money and be in with a nice little payday and enjoy the weekend. And little did I know that he had his eyes on that money as well and ended up taking it from me, which was an epic battle, and we've joked about it many times since. So. It was towards the end of 2016, I think it was, and he had done Xterra in Maui and won that, and been to Cross Tri Worlds and won that as a junior. Decided at that point he was going to have a crack at trying to get to the Olympics in triathlon, and approached me, and we had a couple of discussions about it, and yeah, decided we'd give it a nudge and see what would happen. So after the 2019 season, and we'd come back from Tokyo, that race really highlighted to me that he had the skills to win a race like that, just didn't have the experience in that position to be able to deliver, the final blow, so to speak. So my goal for him that summer was to work on his track speed and his racing nous so that he could tactically make a move and make it count. And that's really extended into this year because he didn't get to travel in 2020. So. It's been kind of a 1.5 year long project almost in terms of getting him to the point where he can race a good track race and be savvy enough to deliver, in the last lap when he needs to. Training-wise, he's training like a 5,000 metre runner would do, probably with less volume, but he's doing a lot of biking and swimming as well, so he's getting a lot of aerobic work.
Yeah, here there's had the facilities like ex-Olympian Liz Van Wheelie. So she has been my swim coach for the last 4 years. And just been guiding me more technique than anything else, and just trying to, just slowly increase my swimming. I never swam when I was a kid. It was kind of just go down to the local wharf and pop a couple of manus and just swim like river swimmer. So that's all we did when we were kids.
We're going to start, we'll just go through our normal speed, nice and easy. I want you focusing on your streamlines and your tumble turns.
My name's Matt White. I'm head coach of Liz Van Wheelie Aquatics. I've been coaching Hayden Wilde for just over 2 years. So he was here before I was. I came in sort of 2018-ish, and then he was still working with Liz at that point, which he still does on occasions. The COVID year, it affected everyone, but that's probably the point that I think that it showed me what he's really capable of. And he was the first one. He came straight to me and said, okay, this is my chance to catch up in terms of swimming. Swimming's not his biggest strength, for sure. And so he saw it as an opportunity to improve, which I thought it stood out to say, okay, well, this kid's going to go pretty far.
I'm normally named the Maltese Falcon, so it's quite a story, but I can cut it in half. So pretty much I suck at swimming. That is pretty much the gist of it. And so there's this war hero who used to look after the Maltese islands, and so he used to be in like a warship airplane. And he used to kind of attack his enemies from the behind, so he would go around the island, go down under the radars, and then kind of come behind them and attack them from the back. So that's pretty much alternatively what I've been doing is I'd come out of the water like 10 seconds back, and then I'd attack on the bike, I'd catch up to the group, and then I'd outrun everyone. And then so that's where I got it from Super League. So Super League's essentially a triathlon, but you do it like 3 times in a row. But then you can do it in all different orders. So it's normally swim, bike, run, but then you can do like run, swim, bike, or swim, bike, run, or any sort of order. And yeah, so I would always kind of come from the back, attack on the bike, get to the group, and then run away, but then get caught again in the swim. And then, yeah, when I was kind of in Malta, when I was kind of up this big climb, the commentators were like, oh, here comes the Maltese Falcon. I was like, who are they talking about? Like, what is this Maltese Falcon? And then I realised they're talking about me, and then all these links were getting sent to me of what the Maltese Falcon was. And there's like a book and like a movie about it and all this sort of stuff. So it's pretty crack up, but it kind of fits the picture pretty well. And so everyone just calls me the Falcon on circuit, really. So yeah. You can have worse nicknames. Originally I was meant to go flatting again, and that's what I've normally been doing, but I couldn't find a place where I wanted to be. Like that meaning Tauranga's kind of expanding, and there's been a lot of places pop up in Papamar, but it's only a 30-minute drive to the swimming pool, so you kind of want to try and find a spot on this side, and it's been real hard and it's quite expensive on this side.
Well, Hayden came back from Europe. He'd had a pretty good season. He was still just quite new at that point. Looking for a place to rent in Tauranga is very expensive, and he said, I don't know what to do. And we said, look, just come and stay, we'll figure something out. And the couple of nights turned into a couple of months, and he sort of bounced back and forth over the years. But now we're happy to help him out. He's a lovely young man, lovely to have around. Eats a lot, definitely eats a lot, but you know, he's just the kind of person that you want to help. Very limited funding for athletes, so to be able to compete on that world stage, they need all the help they can get.
It was only meant to be like a couple of months, but it turned out to be about 8 months. So yeah, we kind of grew pretty close, which was pretty cool. But then finally found a place in Pies Par, and I kind of felt like I was moving back home. But then I moved out again, so now it's quite nice to finally find a place and give the old coach and second mum some space.
He comes in and cooks. He'll take Craig out fishing. Fishing's not always successful, but when it is, you know, you'll see the results of that. But yeah, he's part of the family, absolutely, and we're more than happy for him to come and treat this house as his own.
You know, even though Whakatane only 50 minutes away, it's nice to have like a little base here. It's where I train. It's where my training partners are normally based. In Whakatane, it's normally all lone wolf sort of material, which that's normally kind of what it is at the moment. But I kind of enjoy training by myself and kind of pushing myself by myself. But when Sam's here, it's quite nice. I kind of never really stop. I'm just like all about just doing big jobs and missions and whatnot. So been doing like a little bit of like a low key project with like boats and stuff. So I bought this dinghy for like $2,000 and just like kind of like what everyone else is doing these days and just like flipping stuff and trying to make profit. So since I've been just training it at home and just not going overseas, has been doing that. So I think I'm at my third boat and just kind of flipping them until I get to like my big grand like $500,000 boat that I've only paid like $2,000 for. So that's the big project. And then I got like just building bikes. I kind of really enjoy. That's one of my hobbies is just building bikes. But you're going fishing or like just getting out in the garden, just like building stuff. At the moment we're doing like a little project, a little retaining wall to build a pool there, and just like doing big jobs. But if not, you go down. I used to do quite a bit of surfing back in the day, but I actually haven't even touched a board for ages. It's been so busy. But just kind of if anything's going, I normally just get onto the bandwagon and just do it. A person that kind of I've followed a lot has been probably Braden Curry. We've come from the same sort of, I guess, areas where, you know, he was an events race before he was an Ironman athlete, and he tried to get to the Rio Olympics after doing Xterra and events racing and just fell short, but now is like smashing at an Ironman. So I kind of look up to a guy like that. We've come from the same sort of area where everyone started real short and the super sprint, and then slowly made it up the ranks to like standard sprint triathlons. So I think we've come kind of like the same way and quite different, and I guess a Kiwi way is, you know, doing event racing and coming through like a different way. So it's been pretty cool. To represent New Zealand on the circuit is pretty cool. Like to wear the fern, we're such a small country, but we're pretty strong at the sense. So. But to represent New Zealand at the Olympics would be like unreal. Like we don't have many Olympians compared to like the big countries like the States or anything like that. So to be one of, you know, less than 1,000 athletes to go to the games for New Zealand would be pretty epic. I guess. And it just shows, you know, like you've put a lot of hard work and you're the best at what you do. Is a pretty awesome feeling too, and it's pretty awesome to just go to like a little home back in Whakatane and see some kids like just brighten up their day because you've just rocked up to like the track or the swimming pool and they're just like fizzing out because I've turned up to the swimming pool and it's like, oh, just an ordinary dude. Like there's, you know, that's what I kind of see it as. Like you can come up to me and have a chat. Like I'm not big and scary, just an ordinary kind of athlete, and just I guess I'm all right at what I do. So it's a pretty cool feeling.